You're sitting all day. Your mind's racing a million miles a minute. You're unable to focus on things for too long. Your legs are jumping, you're bouncing your knees, you're task hopping again, you've got to swap things up every now and then. You're kind of just trying to do anything else. Any excuse to get up from the desk or change task, anything to stretch the legs. Does that sound like you? Does it sound familiar at all? It sounds a lot like me. I can get pretty restless, especially if I haven't had a workout that day or haven't been training that week. It really stacks up on me. I think humans need to move. I think that's a hard fact of reality. I heard somewhere that humans are locomotive creatures. I think I heard it on a podcast or a quote, something like that. And I really like it. I use it all the time. When I'm talking to people, I describe humans are locomotive creatures. We're made to move. We need to move. I've never looked into that quote. I have no idea who said it. And I have no idea if there's any factual science behind it. But it is a hill I'm ready to die on. I love the statement and I love the idea. I think it's completely true that humans simply need to move. We do our best work when we're moving, when our blood's flowing and staying active. Have you ever heard the adage that a tired boy is a good boy? You're that boy. I don't care how old you are. The statement's supposed to be for kids. You could be 25, 35, 45. You're still that kid. You would still be operating better if you were tired. Now, I'm not talking about mentally tired or emotionally tired, and especially not spiritually tired. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm not getting at those days when you just feel completely drained, like your soul has nothing left to give. I'm not talking about those days when you've had a bad night's sleep and you've got no energy in the tank. No, that's not it. What I'm talking about is that bodily tiredness. That kind of tired you feel after a really intense workout or bit of exercise. That's a glorious feeling, and you deserve to feel that. Some of you might never have, and I'm really sorry about that. But again, you deserve that feeling, that satisfaction and accompanying calmness. You know, if you push it too far, sometimes I do, you become a zombie. If you don't go hard enough, you're just buzzing. But if you can get that middle ground where you've worked out hard enough to bring it on, it's blissful. Now, this might be a unique approach. You might not have heard someone try and sell you on the idea of exercise by the calmness it can bring or the tiredness factor of it. I'm not talking about getting good muscles or being strong or, fitness. That's not the argument. And those are good arguments to make, and I'm sure I'll make them at some point down the line. But for today, I'm genuinely focusing on that calm tiredness that you feel after intense exercise. I like to picture the body as a generator. It's just constantly creating this energy. And if it builds up and you don't do anything with it, it can be problematic. It can cause things like restlessness and irritation, erratic behavior, sometimes even insomnia. My source for that? My own lived experience. Anyone that knows me could say they can tell when I haven't been exercising because I'm just bouncing off the walls. Now, you can ignore these feelings and try and suppress them, but if you're interested in calmness, I think this is a pathway to bring you there, to help you chill out a bit more. I learned this through my adolescence predominantly. I started boxing when I was 12, and by the age of 14 I was training at least 3 nights a week at a high intensity. And for the next decade that I boxed, 3 times a week minimum. I added gym stuff in there as well. I did a lot of cross training. I'd go do a bit of Muay Thai, a bit of Jiu-Jitsu, a bit of Judo or something. So I was always working really hard. And I was always really tired. With my poor sleep and poor diet at the time, that didn't help. But that tiredness benefited me. It kept me out of a lot of trouble. It helped me stay away from things I probably shouldn't have been around, which is good. You know, I had such little energy that I could only get just enough to get through the day or the tasks that I was focusing on. And I think that did really help me to an extent. And being so tired like that also taught me all the different kinds of tiredness there are. Like they say, the Inuits have 100 different words for snow. Well, I learned 100 different words for tiredness. I learned that you can be just completely out of energy, completely exhausted. You can be emotionally tired. You can be spiritually tired. All of these things have different sort of dimensions to them, different ways they impact you. But through all of that, I also learned that there was a special kind of tiredness. A tiredness that actually made me feel better. A tiredness that helped calm me down, helped keep me in a nice level state. And that was the kind of tiredness I got only from a really hard, intense workout. Now, I'm not talking about pain. This is a dull ache, not pain. And I'm not talking about exhaustion. It's just tiredness. It's kind of tiredness that keeps you on track but doesn't, destroy your life. That is what we're aiming for here. And now it's not for everyone, sure. If you're working 10, 12-hour days in construction or on the tools, yeah, you're probably tired enough, mate. You don't need to add too much more and you should probably focus more on recovery. But if you're watching this video, I'm 99% certain you're not that guy. You're not on the tools 12 hours a day. Sorry. If you are, awesome. Great work, man. Keep it up. Love it. You're grinding. Cool. But you're probably not him. You're probably doing something else. And you're probably pretty restless. And you have a lot more energy that you can burn. And you need to do it. You deserve to do it. Your body deserves it. But you're probably scared. You're scared of that tiredness. You're doing everything you can to avoid it. You're on stimulants, you're on caffeine every day. You're doing anything you can to amp your energy levels up. I don't know if that's the real play here. I think you're just avoiding something that you need. And look, you need to keep it to your level. If you're not someone that's already exercising, just going for a jog around your block can be enough to get you to that heart-hammering sort of feeling. And that's what we're looking for. If you're someone that does hit the gym fairly regularly, maybe you've gotten a little complacent, you do the same workout all the time. You probably need to up the weight, up the reps. You need to get yourself to that level where your heart is hammering in your chest again. That's what we're aiming for. Some call it red line training or whatever. I don't care what you call it. But I do know that you know the feeling. When you've worked out and your heart is smashing away in your chest, it takes a while to calm down. That's it. That's what you want. You want to feel that burn throughout your body. Not, oh God, I'm going to die burn, but God, I've worked really hard. The kind of feeling where you wake up the next day and you feel that soreness. It's not so sore that you can't walk or you're struggling to operate. The soreness that tells you you've worked hard, that you've done a good job. That's what you're aiming for. That's what I think you need, and I think you might be avoiding. This tiredness brings a calm with it. We don't need these crazy elevated levels of energy. Sure, if you've got a big comp coming up, a big day, a big work day, something you're preparing for, sure, you might need to save the energy. But just for your day-to-day functioning in life, I think you need to bring it back. You need to work really hard in segments so that your general levels come down a bit. So you're not bouncing around the office. You're not, losing your mind. You need to work out some more. And you need to work hard. That's what I'm trying to sell you on here. More exercise for the purpose of calming yourself down. Look, I can't force you to work really hard. I can't force you to take recovery seriously. I can't force you to push yourself. All I can do is, yap at you for 10 minutes and try and convince you of the benefits, or at least put them in front of you. And then I'll leave it up to you. So, what are you going to do?